All right, so I think we need to tilt this up a little bit or drop the seat. Testing 1, 2. All right, so I think we are live now. And yes, we are. So what's going on, guys? Donnie Rouse here, and this one is not really going to follow like the same traditional format that I normally do when I come live, but I'm just going to literally rant on something that I feel is extremely important, and it's a realization about life. So there are no quick fixes. That is essentially what I am titling this one. And the reason why this is so important because we've been trained to believe that, like things are supposed to happen quick, things are supposed to happen, instantly as well as come easy. But that's just not the case, right? It's not true. Anything worthwhile is going to require you to commit time and energy towards it. And energy, another word for energy could be money, right? So one thing is, right, understanding what it's going to take to get the result. But the second thing is also realizing that never are you finished, right? There's always another level. When you think that you've gotten to where you got to go or want to be, now all of a sudden there's something else there. So the most important thing to realize is that life is really a progression. Life is a constant growth. It's a journey. It is a marathon, right? It's not a sprint. And by realizing this, it really can start to release a lot of the self-pressure that you put on yourself, right? Because when you realize that, it is a journey, right? And it's not just like this final destination, it takes pressure because now you stop the judgment. Now you're not like, oh, fuck, they're there, I'm here. Oh, what is wrong with me? And that is why I want to come on here today, because I am looking at my own life and looking at all the things I am doing, and some of the things that I don't normally acknowledge or give myself credit for because I'm just kind of like going. And I was comparing to some of my friends who were on social media, and I was starting to, kind of get hard on myself because I'm like, oh, you know what? They've grown their following by this percentage and I haven't. But, when I step back, I'm like, well, but I haven't been putting the energy into social media because I'm in the process of building my course. So it's just a lot of like unnecessary judgment. But when I look at what I'm doing, it's really, I am putting bricks in place and I am going through the entire process of the course I'm creating, which is about creating your one life, whatever that means to you. But I'll share what exactly that means to me. So living my one life means experiencing the most joy, passion, and excitement out of life that I can. And that is in all the other categories of my life and moving in that direction because, a well-rounded life is round in all the areas, meaning all the areas grow equally because that's how a wheel goes fast, right? If you think of your wheel of life as, every category having its own section vertically in the wheel. If you're lacking in one category, all of a sudden now the wheel doesn't spin, it's off balance. And if you let it go off balance long enough, pretty soon you're not going to have a wheel at all. This past week, I just booked a trip to Asia, and I am going to be going to Singapore. Not Singapore. I was Singapore. I don't even know what I'm saying in Singapore. I've already been to Singapore. I was just watching a TV episode on Singapore. I'm going to be going to Seoul, South Korea. I'm going to go to Taipei, Taiwan, as well as Hong Kong, doing like day trips in between when I'm at these places. And while I was doing it, I was inspired by just seeing some of the activities, the viewpoints, the landscapes that I want to see. Right, like I had this vision in my mind. And when I booked it, it literally scared the shit out of me because I'm like, all right, my God, the flight times, right? What if something happens in the flight? What if something happens to my family? If, what if I'm there and something happens and I have no contact whatsoever because I'm halfway across the world, don't in a place, I don't speak the language, don't know anybody. But it's really no different than anything else, any other experience that I've ever had, right? Most of the places, not nearly all the places I've been to, I don't have any contact. Right? There's no one I know, so I'm just kind of going there. But it's funny because all of these these scenarios play out in my mind. They're always there, right? The noise is always there. But I also realize the importance of taking those steps and pursuing the things that I want to pursue. And now, I have a goal of visiting every country in the world, and it's something that excites me because there's just so much to be gained, so much to be learned from visiting these different places about the culture, the people, and just the overall experience of life. That taking that moment to do something that you find fulfilling, something that brings value to your life. And when I look at that in terms of it being a journey, because like it doesn't like I still get scared when I book a travel, and I'm still I'm building my course, I'm building my coffee company. I am there's so many things going on in my life that sometimes it feels a little bit overwhelming. But with some reflection and the help of my coach, I was looking at, she had got me to see, well, what areas I was making progress in. And when we were talking specifically about the One Life course I'm doing, she was like, well, how's the progress going with the creation of this course? And I was looking at, I was like, well, she's like, is there anything you feel like you're not doing? You should be further along, that you're beating yourself up over. And I was saying, well, not really. I was like, of course, I want it to be done fat. Like I want to be completed with this course. I want to have it recorded and online. But I realized that what I want and where I know I should be, what I should be doing and what is the right pace are two different things. Like I know I am doing the right pace, and I'm really going through the entire process again for myself, because it's a constant evolution. And then the whole point, the inspiration behind this post right here, this rant, is because while we're talking, well, what is it that you want to give to the people who are going to be attending your course? And I was sharing with her, I was like, well, more than anything, I want the people who are going to be attending this, I want them to realize, well, yeah, it's great to have this plan, but, start enjoying, start doing the things now that matter to you. Start planning those trips. Don't put off life for another day, right? It's about doing the things that are important, that are matter to you now, while also planning for the future. But the most important thing was to realize that life it doesn't stop. Right? It's a constant journey, and it doesn't, like, the course I'm doing, there was a lot of thought as how should I release the course, right? Should I release it all at once? So if someone wants to go through all the modules at once, they can do so, or should I release it, over the course of 12 weeks, 3 months, maybe even longer than that? The fear behind going longer than that is some people drop off, right? They get bored, like, all right, oh God, it's still going on after 2 months, and they drop off. But it would be a disservice to the person attending, because you're looking for a quick fix, and in trying to rush through something that matters so much to that particular area of your life, as well as your life overall, would be a disservice. Because it's about, when you devote the time to looking at one category of your life and really building it out and getting clear about what it is you want, why you want it, that's when you start to get momentum. That's when you start to make different decisions in your life, right? If you're just trying to rush through the shit because you're like, oh, you know what, I just want to get through this thing and have a general idea, you're going to have a general idea about life. But the more clarity you can get, the better off you're going to be, because it's going to guide every decision you take thereafter. And, I am doing this course, I'm putting this course out, coming with a student mentality as well, because it's something that I constantly have done. I've done several times, and I will continue to do for the rest of my life, because it's never over, right? Again, like as I said before, there's always another level. If you get the vlog I do from my website, eventually this vlog and podcast, I think they might end up merging into one, or I might just reserve this podcast for rants and storytelling, as I'm doing right now. I'd given the story about when I was in Nepal, and we were camping at Mount Everest's base camp. And that night we arrived, they said, okay, we're going to do a hike early morning to Katapatar, which is a peak right next to right next to the base camp, and I can't remember how many feet, like a few. I don't know if it's like a few thousand feet up, but in a short period of time, it's a relatively intense climb. And I remember being on this climb, like getting out there, and I'm like, "What the fuck am I doing?" Like cursing myself out because it was freezing. I want to say it was probably like below zero, and you get out there, and the cold like hits you in the face like razors, and you're trekking up this mountain. Like part of the way up, you're questioning your decisions in life. You're like, "Why the hell am I here? Why am I doing this?" And then, but you look up and you see that there's a crest, and like you're like, oh my god, all right, I am so close. It's right there. I just need to get over this little hump here. You climb up, you get to that hump, then you realize that you were just in the distance. There's actually another one, right? You couldn't see it because you were climbing up, and it was out of sight. So you start climbing up that hill, and you're like, oh yes, the top is near. I could see it. And then you get to the top of that one, and all of a sudden you realize there's another freaking peak. And then eventually you get to the. Eventually, I got to the top, and I saw the sunrise come up over Mount Everest. But it was this realization that there's always another level, and how you're only looking at where you're aiming for, right? And a lot of time, the things you want in life, right? The who you are becoming. You can't see. You could only see that next level, and then once you get there, then you start to envision the next level. I think it was Matthew McConaughey who says he always compares himself to the person he was, or the person he is 10 years in the future. And it's pretty much like that. So back to the original reason for posting this is to just get you aware of the time it takes to create life, right? Because it's easy to stop before you even get going, because you're in the process of you're constantly judging yourself compared to other people, when you realize that every one of us is just at a different point in the process. Every one of us is just in a different place, starting from a different place and ending in a different place. But the entire journey, like to go through the journey with trying to get the donation, is really robbing yourself of life. Right? If you're not, and this is something I constantly remind myself of, if you're not enjoying the process, what the fuck is the point, right? What is the point of, like, I will get in these ruts where I'm just trying to get things done. This past Sunday, I stopped for a beer with my brother, and my friend Ginger met me out, and I was just so exhausted that my body was just like, and normally I wouldn't even have a beer because, like, when I'm home, I'm very, very disciplined, and with my goals, my desires, my health, that I'm like, no, beer, no, because, I'm going to be at the gym, and I'm just very, I'm very strict, sometimes maybe to a fault. But when I was there, I was like, I just need to fucking chill out. I'm going to have a beer. I'm going to enjoy the beer. And as a result of just letting go and having that beer and having the conversation and just stopping the busyness, I connected back with life. And it really was this message like, well, what the hell's the point? If you're not enjoying the process, what the hell is the point? I'm catching myself reframing because I know I want to drop the F-bomb. What the fuck is the point? What is the point? If you're not enjoying the process, what is the point? Right? Because if you get to the place, what makes you think you're going to enjoy it more when you get to the destination than if you're not enjoying it in the journey? And the journey is where life is happening. It's not happening at that moment in time where you achieve the thing you're after. Right? That is not when life doesn't happen. If you're waiting for that moment to start enjoying, then you're missing the entire picture. So I saw myself there, and I'm sitting with the beer. I'm like, it feels good. I like to indulge in indulging having a drink once in a while, right? Too much of anything is bad, right? I can be very rigid with my my workout routines, my going after my business, to the point where it could be a fault, because you need to have this flow of balance. Otherwise, too much in one area takes away from another, and you realize it's only when you're feeding all of the areas of your life that life starts to flow and have its own movement. Otherwise, what you could find yourself falling back into is feeling like you're being pulled, right? And I'm sorry, not feeling, but feeling like you have to push. Like, right, the push is effort. That is like, oh my God, I have to do this. Oh, but I need to do it. And you're relying on willpower. The pull is different. The pull is having this desire and having things flow, whereas you just feel like it's almost effortless, right? Because you're being pulled and you're just flying back, hands up in the air, and you're being pulled in the direction of your that you want to go. And that is trusting the process. That is not leaving any of the categories of your life out, but paying attention to every area. Sometimes it's going to be, sometimes it's going to be more effort in one area than another, in which case you'll end up rebalancing. But it's realizing that you really have to take care of all the areas without pouring too much in one. And then when you do, kind of fixing, like to rebalance out and then go forward. So that is really what I want to share with you. So I guess in short, after all that, we'll sum it up with just trust that life is a process. And that every, taking one step forward is a step forward. It compounds. So you just have to keep taking new action forward. And it's super important to have the vision for where it is you want to go, because that's ultimately what is going to be guiding your choices, your decision. This is going to be a completely different rant, but I'm not going to go too much into it, but I will just touch upon it. Like sometimes you know the vision, sometimes you know exactly where you want to go. And it seems easy because you know the steps to get there. Other times you don't really know where you want to go. Sometimes you only know that one step, in which case you take the step and the next step will appear. And then other times you have no fucking clue. You don't even know where it is you're going or what you're supposed to do, in which case do something. Do anything. Get out. If that's the place that you're feeling like you were in, then you just need to get out of the comfort zone that you've been in, right? And there's no judgment there, because I've been in a comfort zone many times, right? And one of the cure-alls that I found is getting out of my own way, getting into a state of inspiration and taking action. One of the things that has propelled me forward is taking action from an inspired state, even if it scares the shit out of me, right? Remembering, like most of the time, I don't even think when I take the action. I'm like, this inspires me, boom. I don't, there's no thought. But when the times when there are thought, now all of a sudden I start to get the nervousness or the feeling scared comes in which case I got to remind myself of why it is that I wanted it in the first place, and then act from that. So again, to put it all together again, one last time. One, realize that life is a process. When you realize that you are just in the journey, you are at a moment in time within that journey, and that everyone else is in that on their own journey at that moment in time with a different finish line. It takes the stress off, right? Because you realize that you're just in process. Secondly, realize that, there's always another level. When you get to the place that you say you want to be, there's always going to be another level. So again, enjoy the process. And then lastly, with the point I was just trying to make, that literally just skipped my mind. Anyways, that is it. But I hope from this rant that it just gives you a reframe on life. It makes you think about your day differently, your actions differently, and just how you're living, being kinder to yourself, enjoying the process, because the process is where you live. This is where your life is happening. And if you're not enjoying the process, then you're not connected to life. So I hope this in some way inspires you to take some bigger chances, some more courageous action, but also just to allow yourself also to flow with life, to realize, and just trust where you are is the right space, but also not to be afraid to put in the work, the time for some immediate payoff, but that the payoff happens over the course of your life. And you just need to be in the game, doing the work, showing up, because you only get this one life. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please subscribe. Please hit that subscribe button. Share this post with anyone whom you feel might benefit from it. And I don't think there's a single person in this world who couldn't benefit from that, the idea of just enjoying the journey. So share that with someone that you know, love, and want to support. And if you have any questions or comments, you could send them to me via my website at www.donnierouse.com. Again, www.donnierouse.com. And lastly, September 4th, I will be launching the One Life Blueprint. So the One Life Blueprint is about getting super specific about the different areas of your life. So going through the entire process over probably is looking like a 3-month period right now. But taking your time to realize that every piece of your life deserves that intention, that very few people in this world will ever put that much conscious focus into their life. And that by being one of those people to go on this journey and to put that thought in what you want to create, you are one of the top 5, maybe even the top 1% in the world. And as a result, it will reap benefits and pay you dividends as you move forward with your living your one life. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless, and I will see you again next week. Remember, you only get one life. Live it. Thank you so much.